Yo, what's going on, friends? Alex here, talking about all things nervous system regulation, personal development, spiritual growth, and healing. Yeah, today we're diving into your inner world, your outer world, and power versus force. Okay, let's break this down right now. Okay, so this is the essence of this video is where do we go to start making changes which isn't going to totally wipe us out and de-energize us? Which way, what's the effortless way? What is the Tao? What is the way water would go? What is the way a planet would rotate around the sun? What is that mechanism and movement that is the most efficient that we can go? And this is what this is about. Okay, so when we process forward in an alignment more so with nature, and the fundamental deep core rhythm of natural rhythmic cycles and speed and progression, we need to be very aware of where we position ourselves in space and time, and especially when it comes to where our mind is positioned in this now moment. When it comes to power versus force, David Hawkins did he devoted his life to this very journey that we're on now, to really get down to the mechanisms of mind, of what's happening within us and what's essentially pro-life and what's not pro-life, what's energizing us and what's taking energy away from us. And he developed a book and wrote a book called Power versus Force, where he developed the map of consciousness. And this really is beautiful illustration of mapping out everything that I'm talking about here. Because when we come into an energy of force, whether that's mentally, emotionally, physically, all those components, we come into a place where we are going against the grain of our natural rhythm, and we are essentially losing energy. That's everything that can be accomplished within force. It's a pushing, it's like this gnarly, like drivenness. It is the opposite of how light travels through the universe and the way the planets go around the sun. The pathway of least action that governs all of physics it's the minimum energy times the minimum distance, whether that be in the planet, whether that's being a bolt of light. So when we start going in the field of force, we start to de-energize ourselves and we go against that least action. And this is where we go into what would occur in the physical domain as fatigue, lethargicness, that lacking life force within us. And another example of our inner world and outer world, power versus force, force versus power, is where we decide to make changes. I just let that sink in. Where we as individuals decide to make changes. Because a way of going about it which is against the rhythm of everything that I've just spoke about, the least action, the effortless way, that harmonic dance and music that the universe dances to and moves to, we are going against that when we start to make changes or try to make changes to the external world. When we try and change someone's behavior, whether that's mentally, emotionally, or physically, oh God, we've got them in a headlock now. We're like, okay, we're going to, one way or another, we're going to stop them. But more often than not, it comes from the agony of trying to change situations, circumstances, and people from an emotional and mental standpoint. You know how we can get fixated on inner narratives and an inner direction of like, I wish someone would do this differently. And then you go into this imaginary world of trying to imagine them, like almost like forcing them into, oh my God, I can't believe this person's doing this. But when we make this flip reverse and we shift into a stance of It's me that needs to change. It's me that needs to make the changes within me. And those changes within me come from the stance and position of power. Okay, so when we talk about force, what are the emotions with that? We're talking about fear, we're talking about guilt, we're talking about anger, we're talking about apathy, we're talking about all these kind of fired up animal instinct emotions which stem from the animal brain. And all these emotions which go within us, which apply this like inward force. And you know, when you really got the energy of anger behind it, the energy of anger. Now, anger can be very beneficial in very short bursts if it propels you into the qualities and attributes of power, which I'm going to break down in a second. But when we use anger for a long period of time, when we start to marinate, and then it goes into bitterness, and this starts to amalgamate, and then is reflected into our inner world, whether that's the words that we whisper to ourselves, the images that we see, and all this being turns into a de-energizing and a non-supportive stance for our life. And we essentially, on the physical plane, we just wipe ourselves the hell out. I mean, who's been through that? I've been through that. We go into this like fixation of like, you know, when you're dwelling in anger and revenge and bitterness, and like, you know, whatever it may be, like jealousy, and you just know from your life force that this is not cool. This is wiping me the hell out. And this epitomizes and really illuminates what force is. This is force. This is non-supportive of life. So when we make the switch to power, which is now what are the attributes of power? Acceptance, courage, neutrality, love, peace, joy, harmony, all of these attributes, when we start to come into alignment with them, we are now in the alignment of the planets going round the sun. We are in the effortless way. We no longer feel de-energized. We feel uplifted and supportive and harmonious with life. And when you come into this, one thing you'll notice when you're going from a stance of force, that energy of force that I just illustrated there, and we're wiping ourselves out, nothing gets achieved. After all of that, nothing changes. If anything, there's more destruction. There's more. You fuel that fire more so, which brings out all those people that you're trying to change. It brings out all those attributes more so that you're trying to change. I hope you're with me here. So when we do the flip and we go to what we call power, those attributes, those life supporting, those life affirming attributes that are coming deeply into alignment with our creator, the divine spirit within us, things will change miraculously and without us even putting almost any focus on it. But we make this choice and we make this alignment of knowing that the changes that we need to make within need to be coming into seeing people or seeing situations, circumstances and people from the eye of power, which is from those attributes that I just broke down. So once we do this and we come into this and we surrender all the payoffs that come from being in the lower levels of consciousness when it comes to the force attributes, and being totally honest, they give us a massive payout physiologically. We like dwelling in anger because we get a juicy adrenaline kick every time we're in it. We get a massive initial like juiciness, which is that juice that the ego it thrives on. And because it's short-lived, we keep going for it. We keep chasing it. And it's almost a drug that we chase. And it comes with that little venom of like, that gnarliness. So it is a big shift from force to power. It's a big shift. But one thing you'll notice, once you start to be able to overlook and surrender that payoff that comes with all those gnarly bits that I just spoke about, you make that transition, and that in itself is such a big transition. That's such a big transition. Oh my God, it is such a big transition because it takes so much to overlook those payoffs that we've been getting because we love them so much. Like with those short bursts of like adrenaline that we're getting from being right and all that, and wanting to kind of like, yeah, just sucking it out of it. Yeah. But when we do, one thing we'll notice is our energy will rise. And with that energy that's rising, the life force within us, the miraculous will happen. And that will be expressed in people all of a sudden changing. People all of a sudden becoming all those attributes of power that I spoke about: harmonious, loving, joyful, neutrality, acceptance, courage. Oh my God, joy, peace, more love in there. And all of this happens just spontaneously without you feeling like you're doing anything. If anything, you're inwardly being the most loving person you can be. And this is for me the deepest part of self-love that we can talk about. And when we come into the energy field of forgiveness as well, life miraculously changes in spectacular and beautiful ways. So, moving forward, where to change? Forget the outer world. Well, use it as a bit of correspondence for what's going on within yourself. If there's anger on the outside world, there's anger within you. If there's love on the outside world, cool. Keep coming back to that and focus on that within yourself. And then once you do that, the more you focus on those attributes of power, the more and more you'll increase the percentage, more so each time, of moving into the attributes of power. That's it, friends. Be powerful, be loving, be the most beautiful, truth-bearing, loving, joyful, excited people inwardly on the inner world. Let that be expressed in your energy, your vitality, and then the whole world on the outside will just fall into place. Sending you so much love from me to this time on planet Earth, and I'll see you in the next video.